Colin.
Yes.
What's your topic?
Before I start my topic, I'm gonna just do a little ambush kind of
guerrilla warfare topic.
Ambush compliment for Aisha.
Oh,
you are still the best talk soup / the soup host.
That's very kind.
Ever. That was my first exposure to you, and you were awesome. I was
You're
amazed.
rad.
I loved when you did that.
I loved doing that show. It was like one of
perfect.
At that point in my life, it was the best job I'd ever had. And looking back, it's like top 3 for sure. I loved it.
Well, I remember when it was John Henson or whatever left or whatever, and then you did it afterwards, and I think there was like everyone's like, could it be as good? And it was better. You know,
well, you, my friend, are my favorite person ever. Maybe a cocktail. By the way, am I the worst guest ever? That I have a coaster, and I've just been making rings.
Nick Scarpino's watching. Scarpino's watching over a computer. It's like, no.
And I'm like, God, this glass is so ringy. I should really do something about that. Oh, a coaster. Okay.
No big deal.
There you go. You nailed it.
I did it.
I washed these coasters for you today.
Thank you.
That's how you knew it was a big deal.
Blood and marijuana.
Exactly. We'll use them as throwing stars for just like hitting each other in the face.
So the topic is this. So it's real simple. We're all American. We're all natural born. We all have natural born citizenship of this country. And I'm your boy Colin's a paleo Republican, old school conservative. Loves
is cute.
Loves America very much. So it's not about that. It's just like I really
it's not about that.
I unabashedly think America is the best country in the world. We're most economically vibrant. We're the freest. All those kinds of things. Great. But if one day the government became, say, tyrannical, and they were like, you can no longer live in this country because you're not X, Y, and Z or whatever, and you had to go, and they took your passport, and they were like, we will send you to one place, and they'll take you wherever you want to go. They'll take you.
Start a new life.
Where would you go? You couldn't. You had to go, and you have to settle in this place. So it's not like you have a choice, and you go, and then you can maybe try it out, and then leave again. What country would you go to and become a citizen of that country instead?
Do they give me any kind of Johnny mnemonic chip that makes me immediately understand the language, or do I have to do all the legwork for that? Fuck.
It's gotta be
go as an American.
Conditions as is.
Yeah.
I already know the answer.
What is it?
I'm going to give you my 2 also rants, and then I'm going to give you my actual answer. So first I thought of France, because I'm a big francophile. I speak French. I love the culture there. It's really beautiful.
Je m'appelle Greg.
Oui, bonjour, Greg. Je m'appelle Aisha. Comment ça va?
Ça va bien?
So I love the food. I love that French people are really focused on like leisure, and that it's a culture focused on family and friends and not on work, which I love my work. That's why I couldn't live in France, because I love to work. But I do like the idea that like you work for 6 hours and then spend 4 hours with your friends drinking outside. And then eat dinner at 10 o'clock at night. That rocks. Right. But it's the real estate rules are really like Byzantine. It's very hard to buy property there. It's very hard. If you don't come from French landed family, it's hard to acquire real property unless you're incredibly wealthy. So, and I love France, but I wouldn't live in France. And then I thought of Canada, because it's the most like the U.S. And they have universal health care.
It's
that probably makes you absolutely apoplectic. But it looks the most like the U.S. They speak our language. Toronto's like a New York without all the urine. So that was my like second runner up. But I thought about it very hard.
Wait, what? So yeah, what's wrong? You had a downside to French.
So the downside to Canada was just I don't think it's as economically vibrant, and I think for what you spend, you don't get what you pay for there. Okay. You pay a lot, and you don't get everything you should get for what you spend. So,
like San Francisco.
Like San Francisco. So, number 1, Stockholm, Sweden. You pay a lot, but you get everything. You could literally get like 5 master's degrees there on the government. 100% universal healthcare, 100% universal healthcare, 100% universal education to the extent to which you want to be educated, all on the government. Insanely safe, like no crime, like cradle to grave, just everything is taken care of. Food's amazing, the people are amazing, everybody speaks English. Like the most beautiful country in the world, and insanely friendly, and actually you wouldn't think this, but crazy diverse. When I went there, I was looking forward to being the only black person in Sweden and like having everybody touch my hair and give me money. And there were black people everywhere, which was kind of disappointing.
Did they touch your hair and give you money?
No, they're like, another black person. But the culture there's really like, it's incredibly intellectual. It's really vibrant. They're really focused on like scholarship and history. And I've been watching a lot of Vikings, and I want to like I want to hang out with Ragnar Lothbrok. So, so definitely Stockholm. When I went to Stockholm is the kind of city where if you're lost, people will like read your facial expression and come up and walk you to where you are going.
That's awesome.
And if you go into a bar, you don't know anybody, and 20 minutes later you're singing like drinking songs in Swedish with like 50 strangers. It's the best.
That's really cool.
Plus, I love eating the flesh of moose and reindeer.
I just love eating flesh.
What about you, Gregory?
Mine's easy. Japan. I love Japan. Japan's awesome.
Japanese don't like you though.
I know.
That's the
problem. I don't care.
They don't want.
I don't care. No, but see, like, that's always a hang up. I've been in multiple elevators where like, gaijin. Yeah. And then they laugh. I'm the gigantic dude there in like my fucking Portillo shirt. And I'm like, what's up? I don't care. Because it's Japan's awesome. The food's great. I love the food. It's my kind of city in the way that like I don't want to own a house. I don't want to. I always want to have a superintendent. You made jokes about this last night. I always want that. I want to have a kick-ass apartment, a kick-ass condo. And granted, it'd be smaller. Everything's so small.
The actual size of your body, and you would have to sleep and eat vertically.
I'd live in a
capsule. You live in a cubby. Yeah, like those capsule hotels.
Yep.
It would work out.
And you pay $5,000 a month for it.
What? Well, it's no different than now. Like if I wanted to go live in my own
3-bedroom apartment. Though.
Yeah, but if I wanted to go live on my own in San Francisco, I'm gonna get charged through the head. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
but I'd go there. It's all built around video games. They love the video game. That's where I want to go.
Also, if you'd like to buy used panties at a vending
which I
machine,
do.
That is your city.
Everyone knows that about me. That's a big part of me.
Like a winner.
It's hard to get used panties here.
Yeah.
But, unless you know the person.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I know a guy.
Alfredo. No, but I mean,
Japan, huh?
Yeah, it's clean.
It is clean, and there is virtually no crime.
Yeah.
No, like murder's unheard of. High suicide rate though.
Yeah.
But you wouldn't be part of that system that pressures
You wouldn't be
young
that
people.
soul crushing system,
Right.
because that's like ingrained in them right from the minute that they're born. Yeah, that
the
kind of
honor and all that stuff, and like that's the
yeah.
whole thing. Is even though they don't like me, they'd still be nice to me. They have
Do
to
you
be nice.
read any Japanese fiction? Like
Every
if
so
you read
often.
like Murakami
No.
or
Well, immediately, no, not that.
I just read Number 9 Dream, which is actually not a Japanese guy who wrote it. It's the guy who wrote Cloud Atlas, but it was like written in the Japanese style.
Yeah.
And that is a really complex fucking culture, man. I don't know that I could unpack it. I would feel like I could live it my whole life and not figure it out.
There's a great book called Tokyo Vice, and it's by this guy Jake Adelstein. He's an American. Went over there, was a reporter for a long time, and did all this stuff. And basically, what happened is the Yakuza was like basically put a hit on him. Like this guy's trying to expose everything, but it's his whole journey to that point and like then after it, you know what I mean? So to read that book and see how he had to get used to the culture and what that meant, and like especially like me having a degree in journalism and like ethics and what that was to be a newspaper reporter, and see that shit's all out the window when he was like on the cops beat, right? Of like really what he'd do is like go out with his lieutenant and get wasted and go to a hostess bar, and like that was how you built that relationship and did all that stuff. It was fascinating in that way, but also to see how an American would have to try to become part of that culture and how hard that is. That I'd be fine with, you know what I mean? Like as a tourist being there, I was just there in November. It's so much fun. I love that city. People do a lot of people speak English. Right. You can get by not knowing Japanese, and that's why like I was still a story of like, when I wanted to go into video games, I talked to Dan Shu through email back like when I was a kid. And he's like, yeah, get a degree in journalism, that's great. Maybe minor in Japanese. And I looked at it, I was like, this language is hard. No.
Yeah,
not a chance.
Yeah, I mean, not just that it's not a Western alphabet, but that there are 3+ Japanese alphabets, right? There's like a modern, there's a traditional, there's an ancient, then there's a fourth that incorporates like Western concepts into kanji.
Right.
And even Japanese people don't know all the fucking kanji for their own language. They were raised there and they don't understand it. And then beyond that, like even if you understand the literal translation of kanji, the ideas are so foreign. So they're expressing concepts that like even translated into English, we're like, wait, what?
Yeah.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
I've always wondered how you type things, and I just don't understand how that works with all the characters and stuff.
Like
it's
with a keyboard
simpler.
and your fingers and stuff.
Yeah, but I mean, like, how do their keyboards look? In
They
Japan?
have
their own keys.
But I mean, if there's so many characters and stuff,
I think their keyboards are. I think there's like they have keyboards that have like superimposed English or like Western letters on them, and then like really common, I guess,
just the common ones,
like symbols, whatever.
But don't you think that I feel like it's like when you can hit that little translation key on your iPhone, and then you can go from like English to another style of keyboard to emoji. I think that there's like you can hit from one kanji alphabet to a different kanji alphabet to a third kanji.
Yeah,
alphabet.
probably. Yeah, because like when we read, I always use Google Translate because I write about PlayStation at IGN, so I'm always reading like Japanese sites, and I can't read Japanese, so I just drop them into Google Translate, and you always see it does a pretty good job. But like a pretty decent job. Like again, it translates it literally.
Yeah.
So like you can
So
see
you
like
read,
how
like, what does this even mean?
like you could like figure it out. Like it's
Yeah.
just worded very
You
weirdly.
piece it together.
But like
all
they
right?
just throw random English or like Western words and letters and stuff in between for things I guess that they don't have.
But I mean, I'm talking about like physical keyboards.
No, I know. I saw them. They do have like keyboards with some symbols on them, and then I think like they probably have function buttons that let them do 5 different like different kinds of things.
That's crazy.
Yeah, as far as I understand, like you can have 16, 17, 18, 19, 20 years old and still be learning like all like fine symbols or whatever that you don't know. My time in Japan was awesome. I love it over there. I want to go back. I'm fascinated by it, but I'm fascinated by it from the outside. You know,
right?
Like,
well, that's why it'd be so awesome to go there and get immersed in it, right? Like I think that's the way to do it.
But I don't think you could. Like that's the thing is like I don't think that like it's.
I mean, I would never be a native.
I mean, the only older culture. Well, we decimated the Native Americans, and the ones that are still here have been like subsumed. So like really, the oldest culture besides Japan is China. So that's an old ass culture. Japan. It was like 3,000 years old. Ours is like 200 years old. So like
the best 200.
It's insanely. It's pretty awesome.
It's been a good 200 years.
Yeah, it's been pretty compressed. But like so like there's just complexity there, like on an order that like we don't understand.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Not that we're not a complex culture, because like I mean we got the Kardashians and we got like Kanye West, so there's like a lot going on.
There's a lot going on.
Like, a lot going on in our culture.
Yeah, they got Bow Wow for a bit in Tokyo Drift. How was
Please,
it?
Not for that
please
hot
stop.
minute. That one
Don't
hot
bring
minute.
up Fast and
It worked
Furious.
well.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean,
Is that a painful subject for you?
it's not a commentary in the Japanese either. Like
Hour-long rabbit hole with this guy.
they're a homogenous society, so it's like it's just I think it would be, and that's not a commentary, and that's the way they are, and that's great. It's just like that. I just feel like breaking that wall is like going to be
Very difficult.
really difficult.
And their fascination with you is like limited. You know what I mean? Like to a point, they're interested in. And they're not
All
really
right,
that
fat
interested
tall
in
guy,
it.
we get it.
I think Japan. I mean, we always talk about like we grew up playing Japanese games and loving Japan through the games that we played because at the time, as younger gamers might not know, everything came from Japan and I think that they're fascinated. We're fascinated more with Japanese culture than maybe we are by the minutia of the everyday Japanese life, and I think that they're fascinated by American culture.
They are fascinated by American
but
culture.
like maybe not by us.
Right.
But
I feel like teenagers are really into Western culture. Like they dress like us, they listen to our music. All the like the young Japanese kids like dreadlock their hair. Like Asia's really interesting right now. Like kids who are like 10 to 25. Like I'm really into Korean pop, and the guys who are most popular in Korean pop, like the most popular kid over there is this guy named G-Dragon. And he does videos where he's got like blonde dreadlocks and he's dressed like or cornrows, and he has like a baby bear on a chain. You know what I mean? So like they just are like appropriating our shit. Like all the puppets they're all crumping and breaking and wearing like acid wash denim from 10 years ago. Yeah. So they're incredibly fascinated by us. I mean they're mimicking us. Whether
thank you.
Yeah, well, because we're awesome. But whether that's like that level of obsession would like continue on like an everyday kind of quotidian level. I don't know.
Well, it's like when we were there in November, there's this ramen shop I always talk about for my first TGS, or my only TGS actually. So, and that was like what 08, 09, like forever ago. How great, it was the best ramen ever. Yada yada yada. So we made a point to go there, and we walked in the first time, and they were like, "No, we're not open yet," kind of thing. You know what I mean? Like, okay, great. And then we came back when they were open, and they were just straight up like, "No.
We don't want to serve
We're not
you.
going to serve your kind."
That's totally legal there.
Yeah, I know, totally.
Wait,
Yeah.
what?
Yeah,
They
won't
do. Don't
serve,
they do
like,
that?
Yep.
Like when they don't want to talk to you, or like
Yeah,
don't
Scott
want
Lowe,
you to-
Steimer, Cindy, I think Warren, they were like, "Nah, you guys can't come in here."
Whoa, really?
Yeah.
That's completely illegal in the United States, and totally
I wasn't around the
illegal
corner at a
and
sushi
totally-
boat though. I was happy.
Do you feel like there was something you could have done? Like, do you think that was just like we don't want gaijin, or were they like?
I think if you could have
if
talked,
you came in
if
and
you could have
had
spoken to them, because that's the other thing too. I think that Americans have this stigma around the world, right, of just being the guys with the cameras who don't know their language and don't give a flying fuck, don't care about your culture.
And if you don't understand, we just talk louder.
So if you could come in and
Yeah.
explain and like be, no, I'm not like some weirdo tourist. Like, oh, maybe that would work out.
Well, I think there's like basic formalities. It's a really formal culture. So like everybody always talks about how rude the French are. But one thing I figured out when I was there, and there's an American expatriate who has this really great website. He talks about like living there and what it's been like and integrating the French culture. And essentially, like there are French formalities that Americans don't know. And if you engage in those really basic formalities, people treat you totally differently. So, for example, when you walk into a store here in the United States, you walk around and touch everything until you want something, and then you engage with the staff. Over there, walking into a shop is like walking into someone's home. And the first thing you have to do is acknowledge the staff and say hello. Like, it's like coming into someone's living room and being like, and not making eye contact with them. And they're so offended by it. Like, they think you're an animal. So all you have to do is come in and say hello. That's all. Most Americans don't do that, and they in fact because we avoid shop staff most of the time. We don't want to talk to them, and so they just think we're just dogs. And so then they treat us like shit, and we think they're rude, but it's because we've just come in and like touched all their shit without acknowledging. So if you knew like the 3 or 4 basic Japanese things you have to do when you come in, like they say hi, you bow. Like if you just did those 2 things, you probably would have had a totally different experience.
And that's the whole thing, right? They when we go to TGS on business, I thought you were gonna lick my phone.
That would have been weird.
Yeah, it would have been weird.
Was
you just going nose to nose with my dog isn't weird at all. Nothing about that. You know, when we go to Japan for TGS, right? I remember when they were briefing me on what to do, and always take your business card, present it with both hands like this, then look at there. You know, what I mean,
yeah, like look at the business card.
Don't
just
put it in your pocket.
Look at it later.
Thanks.
It's like super. It's like super offensive. Like
so offensive.
The one thing that I couldn't learn over there, no matter how much I tried, and it was like I think it was starting to piss people off, was like buying things and handing people money. Like you don't do it. You have to. They have the tray. You put the money in the tray, then you pick it up and hand the tray to them. To the point where like people would take my money and like look at me and like
put it in the
stamp
tray.
the money on the tray and then like take the tray. And I was like, like sorry.
Yo, I just want my double cheeseburger, yo.
I just think we have to just look at it. We look through things through American eyes, right? Like it's like Rage Against the Machine used to sing about, Greg.
American eyes.
And
got these American eyes.
When we hold people to certain standards, like when people here like learn English.
Yeah,
like
are.
You're in America, speak English.
And I frankly completely agree with that. Like you're in the country. If you're going to work at a store and you can't speak to me, you do not belong working at that store. I'm totally fine with that. You know what I mean? Like that's totally fine. But then we cross the border,
and then we're pissed.
and then we're just like whatever, and it's like I'm like that, and I think it's totally hypocritical. I mean, I go to Germany or England's different. I guess Germany or you go to Japan.
Yo, you're in England. Speak. Oh, hell no.
and you go to Japan, and I'm like, and I just walk up. I'm like English.
Yeah, or
like if someone did that to me here,
so offensive.
I'd be like, "What?"
Right?
Yeah. And so it's like very American.
Here's
double
the thing.
standard.
Also, you have no excuse because like nowadays the number of tools available to you to make you just like functional anywhere are so like wide. Like when we went to Sweden, we just got a like Swedish for Dummies app. I learned like good morning, hello, please. I learned like 10 Swedish words, and then it got me around everywhere I went. Now, also everybody in Sweden speaks English, but we went all the way to we went like 100 kilometers inside the Arctic Circle, and then there were very few people who spoke Swedish up there. But like literally, we were staying at the Ice Hotel, and I found this drunk old guy trying to get inside at night, and it was like freezing cold outside. He was like wrapped in a blanket.
He's just punching the walls.
And I had 7 Swedish words, and I used all 7 of my Swedish words, and I got him back inside and like in the supervision of his family. And if I just been like English, English, English.
What do you want, you idiot?
Yeah, like why? I'm literally like at the North Pole. Why would I assume that somebody would be speaking English there when you can just open up the app and be like, how do I say good morning? Like now we have no excuse. 50 years ago, I think we did.
Right.
Yeah, and then we're mad, and we think, people in that country are rude when they're like, oh my God, his filthy money is all over the counter. The lady who does my nails, because Hollywood, is Japanese, and so and I really make a point of like taking all the money out and then presenting it to her with both hands, and I bow, and then she takes it and she bows, and it's like, why not be respectful? You know what I mean? Like, why not try? Because we are the best country, but we're not the only one.
Yeah.
Amen.
I mean?
One day we will be.
Well, that leads to my topic, but I think there are other people who.
Yeah.
Oh, who hasn't answered?
We've been talking about Japan forever. Colin, where are you gonna live? You love America. You are America.
Yeah, my first instinct I'm going down with the ship. But if
you don't want me.
I
don't want you. He throws open the trench coat, the bomb.
Then I'd probably join whatever rebellion was going to happen.
Oh my God!
But if that didn't happen,
oh my God, he's like a prepper or something. All right,
it's gonna my own version of Jericho is going to happen. And then I was thinking,
hold on. The other day, tell her he tweeted the other day about his girlfriend wanting to throw out medicine.
Oh yeah, my girlfriend was like, I have like all these meds. I had like minor skin cancer or whatever. So I have like several years ago, I just have like these medicine. I never threw it away. And she's like, can we throw the medicine away? And I'm like, no, because we might need to trade the medicine for goods during the post-apocalyptic.
Oh, God bless you. You guys are all over my topic. This is very exciting.
So my first instinct after going down with the ship or fighting the rebellion with my "Don't Tread on Me" flag flying in the battle would be
that you made on a paper towel,
right? Exactly.
Yeah, some marker, some
Sharpies, that I traded some skin cancer medicine
for your expired meds from 2004. I've got three anti-cancer pills from 2004. I'll trade them for that granola bar and a Band-Aid
for that bounty paper towel roll. So then I was like, I'll go to Canada because hockey's my favorite sport. Spent time in Canada, like it up there.
Canadians are nice people.
It's very much like America. They eat the same food, speak except for in Quebec the same language. Sucks. Canadian bacon's a little wax sometimes, unless it's cut really thin. It's good in pizza.
It's not bacon.
It's good though. It's ham.
Bacon.
I know it's not bacon, but I'm not just going to let you talk shit about Canadian bacon.
I will fight you over this.
Do I need to remind you of a little thing called eggs, Benny? Thank you. The defense rests.
A little thing.
But then I'm like, Canada's too easy. What I want to do is I want to go back to really the homeland. I'm going to go to England and hang out with them.
The homeland.
I'm going to remind them that we beat the shit out of them.
Which they're going to love.
They'll love you. They want
then,
you. I'm
and
sure
then
they
they're going to
want you.
remind me that they probably could have beaten us if they really wanted to, which is probably true. Then I'll remind them that that's probably true. Then I'll be like, remember Edmund Burke, and we'll get into this history argument. Then after that...
Who are you talking to exactly?
I don't know.
This
I'm
is
talking
the
to some
state
state
taker.
He's talking to Little Lord Fauntleroy.
So then I think I'd settle in England because I think that, you know, we're kindred with the English,
Yeah.
right? We're really not kindred with the Canadians. In fact, we tried to invade and take Canada in the War of
They
1812.
also
So we don't
burned
have...
down the White House.
They
but,
did. They did. Yeah.
I think actually, though, we are kindred with the Canadians. I mean, even though we fought on opposite sides of that war, culturally, we've completely infiltrated them. I mean,
Oh, yeah.
we are the Borg. We've already assimilated Canada. They speak like us, except for the Aboot. They sound just like us. They
We
watch
send
all
all
our
their
TV
stars
shows.
there to make our TVs.
We take all their stars away from them.
Sure.
I mean,
Well,
you
they know where to go.
Yeah, they know.
We just
they
go
know
up
where
there for the
money
tax
is.
break,
Yeah.
film Smallville, come back, done.
I feel like we're good friends with the Canadians, and I like them, and I like going there. I think I'd love to live in Ontario or British Columbia.
You could
I mean, those
also buy a lot of land up there. The place is practically uninhabited.
I can live in Moose Jaw in a fucking mansion.
In a mansion on an estate with moose, actual moose.
Yep.
I like that.
And they have cool city names like Yellowknife, which I
And
really
Regina.
yeah, Regina, yeah.
Shout out to CJ Gibson.
But yeah, I think I would go to England and hang out and kind of catch up over there. I always thought it would be real when I was studying history and was going on the history track for my master's and PhD before I decided to write about video games instead. I always thought it would be fascinating to teach American history in England, and because they're taught, the American Revolution, for instance, over there is a civil war. For us, it's a revolution. And so like they learn everything. It's like the Southerners with the War of Northern Aggression, and like
Only not as racist.
yeah, no, not nearly as racist, equally as dumb.
Yeah. What?
But so I always thought that was always kind of my dream was to go over there and be like, I'm going to teach you American history from an American point of view.
And I'm going to teach you the real history.
I'm going to teach you the real history. I'm going to teach you why you suck and
Why
how we
you
beat
suck.
you.
The name of this course is Why You Suck.
101.
If you'd like to continue the discussion, there'll be an after-school discussion, 102B breakout session.
Pop
Why
quiz,
you
one
suck
question.
more.
Do you suck? Pass, fail.
I'm going to teach you why Cornwallis was whack. I'm going to teach you why George Washington's your god.
Yes.
Etc. and so on.
UK, yes or no, suck an American dick. Answer. Or
no,
a bag of American dicks, depending how you look at it.
But I really love England because we were talking about old societies, right? And old, and really a continuation of old societies. And obviously in East Asia, the Chinese and the Koreans and the Japanese, very old societies. Even the Vietnamese, Thai. I mean, those, they go way back. But in Western society, the British really are as OG as it gets in terms of continual monarchical reign. You know what I mean? And
Older than the Nordic states, I would say no.
no,
Old?
but. Yeah, old. Okay,
Old.
that's true. I wouldn't consider the Nordic states necessarily what I would consider pure Western Europe, but
Okay.
like England, France, Spain,
This is
Portugal.
No one's ever challenged Colin on a point. We all just nod and we're like, that sounds right.
I mean, until like for example, like a big part of the British Isles were populated by the Nordic peoples. I mean, like they came over and they like
the Saxons and all
yeah,
that?
yeah. I mean, even like pre our kind of like Saxon Anglo conflict, like when there were tribal Saxons
Right.
coming over there and like landing and like settling.
Right. No, that's true. I just consider the Nordic states to be Eastern Europe.
I think that's crazy.
That's just
That's crazy.
like there's Eastern Europe as Russia is.
No, Russia is where Eastern Europe starts, that far north on the globe.
Then it's just Russia.
Yeah, well, that's
So, like, none of the satellites
well,
or-
Russia, and then like going down all the Slavic states, but like west of say like Czechoslovakia.
Okay.
Like, so France, Germany, that like meridian north.
I
That
guess-
includes the Nordic states.
I guess I just look at it in terms of Cold War Germany cut in half, and then I see that line going up and down Europe. And so
That's
everything.
a totally arbitrary line.
But it's
talking
not
about
because that was
historical
Russian.
Divisions. We're talking about historical divisions.
Yeah,
Right?
okay, yeah, that's-
Okay, so like 2,000 years ago, there
Yeah.
was no line between
No.
Germany separating Western and Eastern
Nothing
Europe.
happened with Germany yet.
Yeah, so
No, that was a long ways away.
I mean, I think the further north you get, the more kind of like unsophisticated and inelegant those cultures are. But I think before there were people living and building the monarchy in the UK and the old British Isles, they were coming from the Nordic states.
Sure.
And they were bringing their ideas and their culture from the Nordic states.
Yes,
And
okay.
especially all of the Northern
I acknowledge
tribes.
that.
Okay.
Yes,
All right.
yes, you are right. You are
I
right.
acknowledge that.
But I've always been really into just American history, and people always ask me, "Are you into Spanish history? Are you into Japanese history?" I'm like, "No, not really."
Mm-hmm.
But I am in English history, and I like reading about it. So like, it's just they have a certain tenor there that I really like historically. Like they're really dedicated to a monarchy, even though it doesn't really do anything anymore, and like there's a really rich.
And you don't think that indicates like a certain lack of sophistication?
I think that
they're clinging to this like dusty, dead tradition that means nothing, and they would even admit it means nothing. I mean, she has no real power, no effect on government. She's a suck. Like we just started talking, but like they're literally like a massive tax drain.
Oh, I agree.
They add no value, and they suck the taxpayers dry over there.
But I agree. I mean, I've had this conversation with people and asked them about this because I think only 20 or 25% of British people don't want the monarchy, which is an extraordinary number because there's a consensus there that they do want it. And I guess their argument is that it brings tourists in, and so like it's mitigated, like the cost is mitigated.
That's the thing. How much money do they make off of
and
license fees?
They're very
stuff,
philanthropic
right?
and
T-shirts and coasters.
Grandma Miller was awesome and a huge Chicago Bulls fan. And I loved her for that. But she also had a cabinet full of Princess Di and Charles shit.
Right, like
spoons and little fucking china glasses.
I mean, I don't disagree with any of that. Like, I think we saw that in the 1770s and 1780s and told them to go fuck themselves.
Right.
But I appreciate. There's two ways of looking at it. Either that like it's like a backwards kind of thing, like where they're afraid of letting go, or it's just tradition. And I think a lot of the way we look at it in America is like, well, we're too young to have that kind of tradition. And I wonder how we would feel if like we had this, with the exception of Cromwell, like basically an uninterrupted group of kings from different families since like the 1300s or the 1200s, if we would just be like, nah, done. You know what I mean? Like I don't know how we would feel about that.
I think it's antithetical to like the essential nature of the American spirit that there's one family that gets to just bleed and suck on the teat of the public commerce without returning any value other than tourism. You know what I mean? And
I don't disagree. I just kind of look at it from I think that's the way they look at it, is saying like we're not so quick to just destroy this history. And I don't disagree. I mean, people tried. I mean, people did in France and succeeded. To an extent, I guess, a bloody kind of thing. Robespierre. But
they killed everybody. They're like, this shit is never coming back. Yeah.
And fuck it all.
And then Napoleon tried to sneak his way in there, and they were like, and fuck you too.
Yeah, go to your island.
Yeah.
Elbow, whatever the fuck it was called. And, obviously the Russians did their thing, and that didn't turn out very well for the, for
they've
them.
got their own monarchy now.
So, they killed everyone, except for Anastasia, who apparently lived in
movie.
Texas until the 1970s.
She lives in a Disney.
So anyway, I just try to look at it from their perspective. Like, I really feel like that's an OG country.
It gives them the identity. I mean, that's about cultural identity.
Yeah, exactly. And to me, like, I wouldn't want that. I'm proud of our republic that we elect our people, and even though we have machines here and we do have political families that are basically dynasties, it's not like that. It's not.
Did you read The Family? I'm reading The Family right now. Yeah, it's really interesting. I mean,
summarize.
Well, I'm only a little bit of ways into it, but The Family is essentially that there is this like kind of like ultra Christian governing body of people that work behind the scenes that all like essentially all the stuff that they said in that movie. What was it? The Bone. What was that movie about?
Winter's Bone.
No, the one about the Yale about Skull and Bones.
Skull.
Yes, that
Skulls. Wasn't it Skulls?
Maybe it was called Skulls. Like essentially that there is this like kind of like shadow government of like ultra Christian right wing conservatives that operate in the shadows, and they all know each other and they interact and they support each other, and that they all like meet in this like evangelical, this like kind of like hidden evangelical culture. So we have our own kind of monarchical, self-perpetuating society. I mean, it's not like it's familial, but it's more cultural. Right. Of people that assist other people and anoint people. Them. Yeah.
Well, these right wingers aren't doing a very good job.
Nope.
Keep losing.
I know. It's not going to stop. It's not going to end anytime soon. So yeah, I think I would choose England. But again, if I had it my way, Greg,
you go down the ship.
I would bleed to wrest the United States back from this tyranny before I would try. And then if they're like, no, you really got to go.
You know what? We've given you no chances, man.
Personally. It's nothing personal. We just don't want you.
Yeah, we just, yes, we your shit's not going to, your libertarian dream world's not going to happen here anymore. Your dream of a Republican Party that is socially liberal.
It doesn't hate gay people.
No, not going to happen.
That's not, I actually like fiscal conservative social. No, I just find them amusing. I just find that particular Republican is like kind of like socially progressive, and then
that's
like,
me.
That's Colin.
It's cute. It's very cute. It's a very cute combination of qualities.
It's just it's one of those things.
That's my college boyfriend. It's like he's like super progressive culturally and then super conservative financially. Now he's a big hippie, so he came around.
It's got to change eventually. They've got to change the Republican Party, right? They're going to keep losing.
They just should stop letting these crazy people pull them so far to the right. You can't be so right. You can't win the base and then move to the center. It's not working.
It's the primary system that hurts them because these people can't win the primaries. And then, like, when Romney wins, he's so injured. Even though Romney was a great candidate, like in my opinion, like he was totally fine. But to me, like the dream Republican Party is like legalize drugs, legalize prostitution. Accept that gay marriage is the truly conservative stance, which I've been arguing for years. Because if you believe in live and let live, then that is live and let live. Women's right to choose, all that kind of stuff. Get rid of all the social programs, get rid of income tax, do basically just a libertarian utopia. Like that is, you earn money, you keep money, you want to give into a thing for the poor or whatever, for the government to pay the poor, you get money back.
So social services like the police?
Oh no, that's fine because that's all local. I mean, I believe in the 10th Amendment. Things that are not.
What about a standing military?
Yeah, I don't know. I think we can have 10% of the military we have right now. And then I think that if my personal opinion is that if something is worth going to war for, like when we fought the Nazis, which I think was absolutely righteous, even if the Japanese didn't fight us, we should have fought the Nazis, and the Nazis wanted peace with us, and we should have fought them anyway. Then you better have a draft. If you think it's worth fighting, then you get everyone involved, And if it's not worth that, then you shouldn't go, And that's the lessons we should have learned in Korea and Vietnam, because we had drafts and no one wanted to go, But everyone wanted to go to fight the Nazis. So like it was
Captain America saw it, documentary. Yeah. He wanted to go.
So yeah, I believe in a complete disabling of like the federal government in terms of its power and prestige. Otherwise, like, because I think that brings personal freedoms, and then everyone kind of meets in the middle. We all kind of want the same things, which is happiness and to be left alone. Yeah,
I think the big problem is that's not what we all want. Some people want to like exploit everybody else and amass wealth and fuck that guy, and they don't want to pay in, and they don't. I think the problem is if you're like a conscientious libertarian, you would be the kind of person that would like give to your church or give to your local organization. But most people like me, mine, down. If that guy's in the street dying of cancer or he's been stabbed in the gut, that's his fault, and I have nothing to do with it. And I think that the main thing that government does is maintain a certain socially focused moral line that most people would not maintain on their own. It's literally the collective social conscience, which is we have a responsibility to other people, but most people, given the freedom to amass wealth without restriction and without obligation, would just do so and let everybody die around them, and they'd build a moat around their fort and fuck all the small folk. And if you're dying of boils and shit, that's your own fucking problem.
Yeah,
that's why we have government.
Yeah, I don't disagree, but I still think that can be on the state and local level and not from the federal government.
California's doing awesome.
I mean, like
Schwarzenegger.
I mean, this is the thing we were talking about with like in Canada, like you pay a lot and you don't get a lot and all these kinds of things, and even
in Sweden you pay a lot and you get a lot.
Yeah, but like these are very small countries with very small populations, and like basically the lesson of history is that socialism doesn't work. So like there's no great example of like everyone's like, why don't you have universal health care in your country of 310 million people? I'm like, are you fucking kidding me?
Right.
Like
I mean, maybe the size of the country is unmanageable because it does work. It does work in the Nordic states. It works. There are several countries where like people's, like they said, like the quality of life is really high, the standard of living is really high, the life expectancy is really high, the infant mortality rate is super low. I mean, there are countries where like it is working. Sweden is a country where it's working. Maybe it's because it's small and relatively homogenous.
It is because you can have a consensus opinion in those places of like, this is what we want. Like in the United States, where there's like basically 10 different countries here anyway, and half the people in the country don't even really want to be in the United States anymore anyway. You have people in Texas wanting to secede, people in California want to split it into 2 states, like all the, like
Man,
you can't.
If Texas split off, it would just be like dust and cow patties, and like, wait, where'd our food and water go? Wait, guys, come back!
Yeah.
All we got is oil and steaks.
I want to know if they'd still be in the NCAA. Do we still have to play them in football? Because if not, that changes the fucking shit. They'd stop. They wouldn't go.
We'd be fucked 7 ways from Sunday if Texas left the union. They have like half the military bases, a ton of oil, a lot of money, we don't want that. But the point I'm trying to make is that like part of having like a free republic is that like no one agrees on anything, and that's part of the way it is. So like we have to disagree, in my opinion, on just very specific certain things. You said in Social Security we're not going to have it. Of course we're not, because it's fucking completely ridiculous that it even exists. You know what I mean?
It's not ridiculous that it even exists. Yeah. No! Oh my God! We've got to move on to the next topic.
Tim, where do you want to go? Where are you going to live?
When your grandmother has to move back in with you because she doesn't have any fucking way of paying.
She can't move in here, Colin.
My grandmother's dead.
Okay, well,
I saw to that.
If she had Social Security, she'd still be alive.
I'm simply going to Canada. Sounds easy.
I was going to say,
you gave me good points.
Your answer is going to be easy.
Yeah. Like, there's no way. Like,
have you left the country?
I've never left the country.
You've never been out of America?
He's 24. He's a youngin'.
Oh, God, you're like 4 years old.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. And so that just sounds like
it just sounds good.
Yeah, it sounds good. The thing is, like Colin was saying earlier, like growing up little kid playing video games, yeah, Japan is the go-to answer. You're like, oh, that sounds awesome. But, like, you're right. Like, I don't think I could assimilate like that. I couldn't learn that. I couldn't do all those things.
I'd go over there. I'd get a spare room in Shuhei's house. Me and Shuhei Yoshida learning everything. It'd be amazing.
Well, he'd love that. He would really be down.
No, but also Canada is. I mean, they speak English. They seem pretty similar to us. Every person I know from Canada, I'm just like, okay, cool. We're the
Canada's
same,
rad,
we're
by the way.
People. Yeah, I'm sure I'll go there eventually at some point.
Part of the reason it's so great is because there's not that many.
I'm sure I'll go to Canada one day
for something.
Branch out.
Ambition.
Yeah. No, they have like the whole I'm into the whole entertainment stuff. They have a lot of entertainment up there. You know, like the whole YouTube scene is huge up there too. Like
that's why they keep moving here.
I really need you to not use a YouTube scene as a criterion for the country that you want to move to.
I like YouTube. I like
Epic Mealtime. They saw the writing on the wall. Came to LA.
That's right.
Canada is pretty great, and also they got lots of unexploited resources. So they could take in a couple 100 million people.
Those tar sands.
Yeah, I mean, the whole country is amassed along the border with 90% of the population lives on the border between the United States and Canada, and the rest of it is just completely
woods.
undeveloped. Yeah, woods, moose.
You can go live in the Northwest Territory and pan for gold.
Yeah,
and grow an ironic mustache.
Yes. Let's do it.
All right, my topic.
Yeah.